It's 3:15, and that means it's time for
The Real Deal with Bill McNeil.
That's right. Welcome once again to The Real Deal with Bill McNeil. I'm your host, Bill McNeil, and you're probably wondering exactly what is the real deal today.
Hey, good question.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and DC Comics, Daniel Cherry III, the new general manager, been on the job for quite a while, was supposedly a big marketing guy, and it feels like he's had his first real big win at DC Comics with his Batman Fortnite 0 Point crossover promotion that they've done. And I wanted to talk about it with my good friend Eric Canetti, comic book artist. Also, you work in the video game industry, so you kind of know both sides of this, Eric.
I do. Yeah, I have perspective, limited as it may be, but perspective definitely.
So basically what DC has done is they created just a normal 24 page comic, $5, but you get exclusive skins for Fortnite. Like I think there's a Harley skin, like a Batman skin, some exclusive in-game items that you can they can go and claim if you have a code from the comic club.
Correct.
We're seeing some of these comics selling for as high as $100 on eBay. I think you were saying that you could just buy the code on eBay and things like that. It turns out this has been a big success. I don't know that the comic book story itself is altogether engaging, but it has brought new people into comic book shops, which is important.
Right. So you and I offline were talking about number one, whether or not it's scalable. And you just brought up a very, very good point, which is it ultimately going to is the mission of getting these comic books out so that you can bring people into the comic book stores? And if that's the case, how is it that they can go in there and say, okay, on top of the Fortnite Batman comic, here are all these other things, and is that impacting sales as well? Because if it's not scalable, you have to think laterally and say, how do we sell all of our other products to new potential customers, right?
So my friend Larry from Larry's Comics, I believe he's in Lowell, Massachusetts. He said when he was having customers come in, and he was having a lot of customers on Tuesday that were calling saying, do you have this comic book? They were coming in, and he was trying to push Batman Hush hard because obviously it's Batman. It's related to the Fortnite comic, but it's Jim Lee. It's essentially the best, some of the best Batman art you can find.
Sure.
And that was the approach he was taking with it.
That's smart. How did that do for him? Was it successful? Was he seeing an uptick in Batman Hush sales?
Well, I think we'll have to wait a few weeks. Are these people going to come back to the shop the next Tuesday and the Tuesday after that? Have we, at least gained a few customers? I think that's probably the big question. Because the promotion itself is successful. The comic books, you cannot buy them anymore. They're sold out.
Correct.
There's multiple printings. The Fortnite fans came in, in force and got their hands on them. Also, the flippers showed up and have got them out on eBay. So generated sales, and people, generated buzz.
Absolutely. I think that speaks a lot towards it speaks a lot about the Fortnite fans, right? That they're willing to go to the nth degree to be able to buy a comic book so that they can help feed their passion and affinity for the game. Now, converting them, right, might be the bigger challenge, right? Like that bridge of getting them into a comic book store, probably not as challenging as you think. Fortnite guys are like super hardcore. Any gamer is super hardcore about the thing that they're into. It's having them sort of like, okay, what else can we get you into? Like, is it Batman? Is it, the example that you used was like, is it Hawkman? Is it whatever new title that you can get them into the comic book store? But as a campaign, as a promotion, super successful. Will it impact long term? That's the part that, like you said, we kind of have to wait and see. I want to be as optimistic as possible, and I want to understand, just based on the projected data that DC had gotten in front of them, what is their win case scenario, right? Like of the 100 people that they got in there based on Fortnite codes, if they retain 10 of them, is that successful? Is that a big, is that a big win for them? Is it 50% retention? I'd like to know that number, and I guess until a few months from now, we won't really know.
Interestingly enough, before DC did this promotion, Marvel did a Fortnite crossover promotion, and from what I understand, it wasn't nearly as successful.
That's fascinating.
I think the reason is because the general manager at DC, a new position, is Daniel Cherry III. He came over from Blizzard Activision.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, World
Mm-hmm.
of Warcraft, Call of Duty,
Sure.
some of the bigger name
Sure.
hardcore gaming communities that you can find. And I think he probably knew the fandom there and knew how to bring them in. And it was with these exclusive skins codes that really generated all the interest.
So Marvel didn't offer up those exclusivity codes at all
I
in
don't
their
I don't think they did
promotion.
it like the same numbers. I think there
Ah,
was like a Spider-Man or something in there.
right, right. Well, that's a missed opportunity. I'm glad
Yeah.
for DC in their efforts that they're getting these sort of numbers in. And you told me something else. The pre-order for a hardcover
Yep.
version
In
of this book.
July, the Batman Fortnite 0 Point hardcover is coming out. It's not a cheap book. It's
Right.
collecting all the issues that Christos
Mhm.
Gage, and the hardcover itself is going to contain, I believe it's 7 skins, and it's in the top 100 pre-ordered books on Amazon. And I'm
Right.
not talking graphic novels; these
You're
are
saying
books.
right, right. Now that's
And
incentivized as well, right?
yes, with
Okay.
some skins and in-game exclusive rewards that you can claim. Now, there's only two other graphic novels on that top 100 list, and they're both Dogman. We know Dogman sells in the millions of copies of
Sure.
each title
Sure.
that they publish. So it's an enormous win, and it appears to have legs. People are willing to wait until July to get their hands on all 7 skins and the hardcover edition.
Yeah, I mean, the planning behind this is phenomenal. Having been, in an ancillary capacity, seeing what planning goes into events when it comes to crossovers, and most specifically, let's say just video game company centric events, this thing must have been really well put together for them to have been receiving the kind of returns that we're seeing now. So that's amazing.
Like we mentioned earlier, you work in the comic, or not only with comic books, but you work in the video game industry as well.
Yeah.
As someone that's your lifelong comic book reader, you work within video games. Does it feel to you like there is a natural crossover of customers?
A natural crossover. That's a great question. I don't know how natural it is. I mean, fandoms being what they are, I don't know if it wasn't for a very smart campaign on DC's part, and like you said, Daniel Cherry's part, if people would know about Batman, but not necessarily go out and seek Batman, right?
Mhm.
Fortnite and a game like Fortnite is somewhat successful because the content comes to them, whereas comics go, you have to go the other way, right? So it's that sort of barrier to entry. Now, if you're talking about the person who's like open, the actual people who read and or who read comic books and play Fortnite, I think like fandom and pop and sort of like being a fan of pop culture, right? Like that's very natural. You can be a fan of watching Batman and also playing Fortnite. That's very natural. It's how the delivery system, I think, is the biggest difference.
Yeah, it's two different forms of entertainment. So
Mhm.
we'll see if the crossover is there. But there is a very fervent, hardcore base of gaming fans, and it's not just
For
a
sure.
gamer likes all games. They like their specific game, and in some cases, they're willing to invest hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars into a playable character and other things like that. I remember I was
For sure.
doing Clash of Clans. I was kind of like a semi, certainly not professional, but I was in a competitive kind of clan and type
Right
stuff
on.
like that. It was a lot of time. I
It
actually had to
was.
give it up because of this channel, because it was upwards of like 4 to 6 hours a day just to be a part of it.
Holy cow. But then so you can absolutely relate about, somebody who's super into the game that they're into, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If they
And
had in-game Batman skins on Clash of Clans, I've been all over it.
really? Okay, that's fascinating. Oh, it's again super smart move on Daniel Cherry's part. However, it is that they coordinated it. Congratulations to them because it seems like July is yet to get here, but they're in that's an amazing statistic to have.
Yeah, I believe there's another 5 or 6 issues of 0 Point to go out.
Yeah, each of them incentivized with a skin. Yes.
Yeah, so I imagine there are other opportunities to execute this game plan. Now,
Yeah.
will it get old? Are the other fan bases for gaming going to be as fervent or as ready to go and find their comic shop as the Fortnite fans were? The
Yeah.
one that naturally pops in my head, just because my kid's really into it, I've got a couple of like cousins across the street that are between like 11 and 14 years old. One of
Yeah.
them has his own YouTube channel. They
Right.
are super into what is it? The pixelated game,
Minecraft.
Minecraft. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what they love.
Right.
It feels
That
like
makes
Minecraft would be somewhere that you could probably execute something like this.
It would. It would. But then this goes back to the original point of our conversation. Is it going to bring the much needed health back into the comic book industry? As a promotion, obviously, it's undeniable. It's super successful. But what can it do to sort of like, reinvigorate people to buy comics again? Is this that answer? I'm unconvinced and uncertain. So I hope it does. I definitely hope it does.
I'm with you because I did read the first issue of Zero Point, and people kind of gave me some grief. I was like, I don't know this is a comic book that this is worth $5
Yeah,
because there was nothing wrong with the story,
sure.
but it wasn't
Sure.
great either. There was nothing, terrible about the art, but it wasn't the greatest Batman art either. It was just kind of
Right.
middle of the road. If I was a Fortnite fan and I went and read that comic book, I wouldn't be like, oh my goodness, what have I been missing out on?
Right,
So
right, and that's a very good point. It's I don't it's an amazing opportunity in the case of cross promoting a printed product or a comic book IP into a video game IP. Super smart, again, super successful. That's undeniable. But in as far as the effort is concerned, you would hope, and I'm about 20, well, actually, I'm about 10 pages in, and we talked about it. It's not exemplary. It's not going to, knock your socks off, but it's serviceable. And is that okay? Right? Similar to the art, I'm not looking at it going like, oof, this is really underrepresented of the IP. It's right there. It makes a lot of sense, but to your point, it's not like the best example of Batman art that I've seen. However, it does mean that there's room for improvement, right? Like if they understand that this is a really great thing that they can continue, and then one of the screws that they can tighten up and shore up is the art and or the writing. That's a big win for them across the board because now they're not just fulfilling the potential, but also they're going to you said it's $5. They're going to now live up to that $5 price tag, which is to me pretty high.
it is. And you know how they got me on the hook, Eric?
How's that?
I didn't think the story was great, but I'm sticking around to at least till issue 3 because on the cover is Batman and Snake Eyes fighting. I was like, I want to see. That's just two of my favorite characters.
Right. Right. Yeah. You plus that up with a good story and, even better art. Again, there's nothing wrong with the story. There's nothing wrong with the art. So if the writer and artist end up hearing us talk, we're not bombing on you. We're not saying like, oh yeah, this is really subpar. It's more like cool, but it's not the thing that makes you go, oh wow, I got to
What have
pick
I
up
been
that
missing
book.
out on this whole time?
Exactly. And that's an opportunity missed in my opinion.
I have been told from Batman fans, in the comments that play Fortnite that the story itself, it feels like you're in the Fortnite world. I guess the characters don't
Sure.
speak and Batman can't speak and they're just fighting. And then at the end of the battle, there's some, that light happens, then you start a new battle.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of flows within the theory of the game.
It's definitely in world in as far as the game is concerned. I've watched plenty of streamers who play Fortnite on the regular, and I'm like, yeah, that's the game. They've managed to capture the game in comic book form.
Now, I imagine this is, like we mentioned earlier, this is the first really big win for Daniel Cherry III now that he's the general manager. He has an enormous marketing background. This promotion has been very successful. I don't know that he's going to just repeat this promotion over and over on different titles, but he does have a history in video games, and I imagine they are going to do something, to cross-promote within video games in the future.
Yeah.
Like, as somebody in the industry, can you think of any other opportunities out there where you have hardcore, fan bases that would want something that would be exclusive with DC Comics characters or something like that available?
Yeah, this game plan or this is directly out of a playbook, I think, right? And I think it's across the board in as far as most video games are concerned. And to scale this, it's got the way that you can scale this up is that it has to be part of an experience. It just can't be the one and done kind of situation where I buy the comic book, there's a code inside, I redeem it, I go back to playing my game. The way you create a level of stickiness is that it has to continue to transcend just beyond just that one time interaction with a comic book and a code, right? It has to be a built-in experience within the context of, well, now that Batman is here, what does this mean to our world and to our IP? Does it impact it in such a way? You make it into you convince the publishers of Fortnite that it's part of an ongoing event, that there's something narratively that people want to keep coming back to. And that's how you go back, and it's like a shoelace effect, right? You go to the eye of this shoe hole, and then you have to keep going back and forth, so that again it's more of an immersive experience. And if it's just the one and done, if it's just a code and you buy it, I don't think it's scalable. And it doesn't keep bringing people back and create the kind of stickiness that you need to make people loyal to, at least the other way, to bring in the Fortnite audience into the comic book buying audience.
I believe on the Fortnite side, there's like specific gameplay areas that are inspired by DC Comics. I imagine
Smart.
there's like a Gotham in there. And
Smart.
I think what you're saying is right. You do this and maybe you do another promotion in a quarter and you expand it. Or maybe you add the Fortress of Solitude or something else that is well known within the DC Comics universe. And you keep growing this out, and you have something that is long lasting and likely to keep people coming back for more.
Yeah. And I'm not worried about Fortnite in as much as, like, God, that's a very, very successful game and IP. Your audience is built in. I'm trying to make sure, like, how do you make sure that if there is a percentage of that early adopter, or a percentage of those people who bought the comic books, how do you retain them for the comics? And I think DC has to do things on their side as well to continue that momentum. Right? I don't know what that is. A lot of smart people should figure it out, but there should be something on DC side.
Like redeeming codes on your DC Infinite app, maybe for a digital version of Hush.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of things. What can you do so that, you have an understanding of Batman? Here are the most exemplary Batman stories that we have. And we can give it to you at such a, how do I refer to it? Like, this is a no-brainer to buy. This is as close as you can get as to when you're standing at the checkout line at Target, where like, oh yeah, that's I don't even think about that 99 cents.
A redeemable coupon for the long Halloween. You get it for a month, but you have to have you have to go get a subscription, not a subscription, but a login to DC Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
You already like technology. You play video games. You probably have a device. Maybe
we make that delivery so much less painful for you, because it's going to you as opposed to you going to it.
And long Halloween or Hush, these are things that are likely to keep people coming back. These are the type of books that when you have new customers, you present to them because of their classics.
Exactly. Yeah, they're the ones that, at least from our side of the industry, we can go like, oh yeah, that's the high watermark, and you always give them the best.
Absolutely. So,
yep.
Eric, I do appreciate you coming on here, providing your perspective.
Wes.
Obviously, you're a comic book artist, but you do work in the video game world as well. Do you have any last words that you wanted to say just regarding the success of the promotion, or maybe some other opportunities?
Yeah, congratulations to DC. Really, really smart move. There's we finally seeing the fruits coming to bear when they brought on their executive, because this is right in his wheelhouse. But the only thing I can hope for is that they somehow find a way to scale this out, because their titles could really use I believe the injection of that energy of a new audience.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.